Hi, hello. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome in if you're new around here. Today I'm diving into a topic that I think we've all grappled with at some point and will continue to grapple with. Finding inspiration. Yeah, I don't believe we'll ever manage to get rid of this issue altogether and forever. Now, I've dedicated my channel to sharing my writing journey, but whether you're an artist, writer, or just someone looking for a spark of creativity, I believe this subject matter affects individuals in various spheres, even non creative ones. So, this might interest you even if you have no interest in writing. What is inspiration? In my video about writer's block, I'd mentioned that lack of inspiration could cause writer's block, but I didn't go further than that. I did not stop to discuss it in details as it wasn't the main topic of the video, but what is it really? Inspiration, I mean. If I had to put it into simpler words or casual ones, I'd say that inspiration is the spark that fuels or fires your passion, is that sudden burst of creativity that can illuminate or expedite the process through which people turn ideas into products and solutions. Yes. However, inspiration is hardly magical or mystical. It has to do with the human brain and is very much tied to its structure. From what I understand, one key component in it is our conceptual system. They're basically storage units for knowledge and ideas and are linked to other parts of our brain, which is why when we think we got a brilliant idea, we feel that satisfying rush within us. It's just our neural pathways lighting up like a Christmas tree when our neurons high five each other. And inspiration is the term we humans have chosen to designate the external element that kickstarts this activity. And it doesn't stop at ideas. Inspiring would be synonymous with inducing. Something can inspire an idea, a feeling, or a method. Say you're thinking back to some memories that inspire sadness or happiness in you. The memories induce those feelings. The human nervous system is the most complex of all. Even though we all have one, generally speaking, we're not wired the same. That complexity is at the very origin of such a wide and diverse range of thinking among people. It's a bit like a very complex program. You change one line of code and it can either completely break or give a totally different result. Take writing, for example. I've recently written 2 short stories for a contest using one of the prompts provided by the organizers. When looking at other people's stories, I noted that not many had picked the prompt that I had. I picked it because it was the prompt that inspired me to write the most, whereas different writers were inspired by different prompts. And even stories that were based on that same prompt were very different than mine. While the complexity is at the origin of the difference is at the origin of our difficulties with the topic of inspiration. Which leads me to the next segment of this video. Where to find inspiration? Because we're not wired the same, it is sometimes hard to understand or to agree on what can inspire someone to create or innovate. What works for someone may or may not work for someone else. Even people that have been through similar situations or have gotten similar educations or are simply together in a similar predicament. In my writer's block video, I'd said that if you can't write because of lack of inspiration, sitting in front of a blank page will probably not help you. I know it doesn't help me. And went on and described some of the ways I find inspiration in. But I didn't really go into details because, well, again, it wasn't the main topic of the video. So, let me start with the obvious source of inspiration for me. Reading books. Mostly fiction from various genres. Multiple things can inspire you in a book. It can be a line, a word, a description of a place or a character, a plot line, as non-important as it may seem. Next, movies, TV shows, anime. Sometimes I don't feel like reading. I turn to watching. And to be honest, sometimes I don't even happen to like what I'm watching, but there's still something that catches my eye on screen. Something that sparks an idea. And again, it can be anything: the character, their design, the dialogue, the colors, the voices, the soundtrack. Speaking of soundtrack, music. Whether it's a song with lyrics or just an instrumental piece, one of my ideas for a story actually came entirely from one word from a song. One. It was just this one time where I was sad, just sitting and listening to music. This song came on, this idea for a story flashed before my eyes. I immediately started noting it down. Next, going out and changing scenery. Sometimes I just take short walks, but most of the time when I go out, it's because I have something specific to get done. But I allow myself to actually look around and not stay stuck in my own headspace. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but just like books and movies and music, anything can induce a feeling that will lead to an idea. It can be somebody's voice, looks, gestures, the environment, the design of a building. It can be a smell, a conversation that I catch as I pass a group of people by. It can be a specific place that you visit, such as a museum, the theater. I don't know, pick a place you'd like to go to. Spending some time around nature and greenery does wonders to my mental health, and it helps me relax and accept that I am at an impasse when it comes to writing. Next point: conversation and personal experience. Talking to somebody about anything at all does count as a change of scenery too. What inspires you can be the topic of a conversation itself, or even something unrelated that they say or do. There was this one time I visited my cousin and we were discussing something about school and what she was studying. And at some point, she stood off the chair and picked a teapot in her hand. A teapot. That sparked an idea in my mind. I remember back then I'd been stuck in the plotting process of one of my stories, and the way she'd taken the pot in her hand just gave me an idea on how to go on from where I'd stopped in my story. And with that, our personal experiences, good or bad, can be a huge source of inspiration as well. It can be hard to sift through them clearly, especially with the bad ones, due to our direct and personal connection to the situations. But in the end, it's up to us to decide if our personal experiences are stories worth telling. We choose which to share and which to keep to ourselves. Staying on the topic of conversation, engaging with the communities and the people that have the same interests as you do. I know I said that our differences cause us to struggle to understand each other, but those same differences can birth amazing ideas. You don't always need to perfectly understand each other in order to have a good exchange. Sometimes all you need is a fresh pair of eyes or feedback to go on. I understand that getting criticized doesn't always feel good, but it kind of is a requirement to improve your craft. Scrolling. I understand that scrolling on our phones through social media apps can be perceived as unproductive, and while I agree that it can be detrimental to do so endlessly, but moderately on short breaks, this too has helped me a lot. It can help you create a mood board, which is something that many writers and artists do. I personally don't rely on mood boards, but hey, what doesn't work for me might work for someone else. Video games. I don't particularly enjoy playing video games, but I found a way around that by watching other people play video games. Now, I even have a favorite genre. They inspire me the same way movies, books, anime, and shows do. Writing prompts. I've relied on prompts from other people to write some stories. In fact, my Greybird collection has almost entirely been inspired by different prompts that I found online, and I made the stories my own from one paragraph or one sentence. Finally, practicing different activities. I cannot draw to save my life, but sometimes I feel like I've reached a dead end in a story. I pick up a pencil and a sketchbook and try to follow art tutorials for beginners. I don't try hard enough to get good at it, but the way it keeps my hands and mind busy helps me in ways I've never expected it to. Although most of the time I default to a different interest of mine. For example, I like learning languages, so I start studying the basics of a new language. Again, I don't necessarily stick to it, but it helps me press that refresh button in my mind. You can try whatever activity you prefer or what you have at your hand's reach. Overall, I can see how some of these might sound like distractions and more ways to procrastinate, but I said it before and I'll say it again. Your brain needs to breathe and rest just as much as the rest of your body does. It's literally the engine that lets you function as you do. It needs food and exercise too. And in this case, food does not just refer to essential nutrients. I am, of course, talking about the information that you gather through your senses: sight, smell, hearing, touching, speaking, or singing. And remember, inspiration can come to you, but most of the time, it is you that has to chase after it. Alright, I think I've said everything I wanted to say about this topic, so I'll end this video here, hoping it helped somebody out there at least. Because I know the struggle. Even though we don't all experience it the same way, and even though we may not tend to the issue with the same methods, but the overall idea is the same. So I'll leave it here. I hope to see you in the next video. Leave a like if you enjoyed it, and maybe even subscribe if you haven't already done that. But until next time, please take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye bye.